Stratigraphy is a fundamental concept in archaeology, crucial for understanding how ancient civilizations developed, lived, and changed over time. This summary will explain what stratigraphy is, how strata, those layers, are formed, why they matter, and how archaeologists use them to reconstruct history, using simple language and only the most important examples and names. Stratigraphy is the study of layers, called strata, found in the ground during archaeological excavations. Each layer represents a different period in history. By studying these layers and the objects found in them, archaeologists can piece together the story of past civilizations. The idea of strata was first used by the geologist William Smith in 1816 to describe the Earth's layers. However, in archaeology, strata are not just natural layers of soil, but are formed mainly by human activity. When people settle in a place, they build homes and live their lives. Over time, natural disasters like floods or earthquakes, or events like wars, can destroy these settlements. The ruins get covered by debris, soil, sand, and garbage, and eventually, new people might settle on top of the old ruins, starting the process again. Each time this happens, a new layer is created. Imagine a town built on a slightly raised area. Over the years, the town might be abandoned due to a flood or an invasion. The buildings collapse, and debris fills the rooms. Later, wind, rain, and people's garbage add more material. Eventually, a new group of people might build their homes on top of the old ruins. This creates a new layer, with the old civilization's remains underneath. Strata can also be formed by people throwing away broken tools, pottery, and food waste. The thickness of a layer usually shows how long people lived there, but this is not always true. Sometimes a thin layer can represent many years, and a thick layer might have formed quickly. Sir Mortimer, a famous archaeologist, pointed out that there is no fixed rule for how strata form. For example, during the Old Stone Age or Paleolithic period, thin layers took a long time to form, while in later periods, thick layers could form quickly. Layers can also be disturbed by later activities, like digging wells, building roads, or making drains. Even with these disturbances, studying strata is still very important for understanding the past. The importance of stratigraphy in archaeology was first highlighted by pit rivers in the 19th century. In India, Mortimer was a key figure who promoted its use. Before Wheeler, John Marshall suggested using sea level to determine the order of layers, but this method was not scientific and was not widely accepted. In Egypt, Flinders Petrie used the depth of layers to study ancient sites. Archaeologists use the artifacts found in each layer to date that layer. For example, if a certain type of pottery or coin is found in a layer and its age is known, the layer can be dated. This method was first used in Egypt and Mesopotamia. However, it is not always accurate, because people often reuse old materials or mix things from different times. So the main goal of an archaeologist is to uncover the different civilizations that lived at a site and to reconstruct their history. To do this, they have to carefully identify and study each layer. Usually, layers can be recognized by differences in soil color, texture, or even the type of pottery found. Some layers are especially important because their dates are known, and these layers help archaeologists understand the age of other layers above or below them. There are three main types of layers: contemporary layers, which are from the same time period, continuous layers, where there are no gaps between them, and layers with gaps, where there's a break in habitation. To tell layers apart, archaeologists look for signs like soil color, texture, and the types of artifacts found. Sometimes layers are easy to see in a cut through a mound, but in dry soil, they can be really hard to spot. Sprinkling a little water on the soil can help, since wet soil shows color differences better. Sunlight at different times of the day can also help reveal layers. Once a layer is identified, its depth is recorded, and a label is attached. Artifacts from each layer are kept separately with detailed notes. Walls and other structures can be tricky because their depth does not always match the layers around them, so special care is needed to record these accurately. As soon as layers are identified, they're numbered from top to bottom. The top layer is the most recent, and the bottom layer is the oldest. So the first layer excavated represents the latest civilization, and the last layer is the oldest. Layers are usually given numbers like 1, 2, 3, and so on, while the civilizations are often labeled with Roman numerals, such as I, second, 3, and so forth. In the past, colors were used to indicate layers, but this method is no longer used because, honestly, it just wasn't practical. Excavation continues until archaeologists reach soil that was never used by humans. Stratigraphy is extremely important in archaeology for several reasons. It tells us how many civilizations lived at a site and in what order. It allows archaeologists to describe each civilization separately, and it helps compare artifacts from different layers. If a layer contains a dated object, like a coin, the date of the entire layer can be determined, which really helps to date the whole site. Pottery is especially useful for dating layers. Once the age of a certain type of pottery is known, finding it in a layer helps date that layer. By studying layers, archaeologists can understand the characteristics of each period and how different civilizations interacted. Stratigraphy is the backbone of archaeological research. By carefully studying soil layers, artifacts, and the remains of buildings, archaeologists can reconstruct the timeline of human history at a site. The work of experts like Mortimer has helped make stratigraphy a scientific method, using careful observation and tools like water testing to reveal layers accurately. Pottery is a key tool for dating layers. Thanks to stratigraphy, archaeology has moved from simple digging to a scientific exploration of our past, allowing us to understand how civilizations rose, fell, and influenced each other over time.